Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the second day of the Community League. I am joined today by Germ. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing great today. How are you today, Mr. Hitman?
I'm doing great as well. We're able to cast. It should be a pretty fun series. We got Mini Unicorn on one side, and we have Peaky Blinders on the other. Peaky Blinders actually had a technical victory yesterday, so they do not have any games yet, so we haven't even seen them play. And Mini Unicorns had to face up against a tough first opponent in Overwolf, and they tried to fight, but they ended up getting 5-0'd. So it's
Dang,
yeah,
that's not a good start. 5-0. Yikes. Who was it that 5-0'd them?
Overwolf, which is team with Muscles, Felix, Gamer, and Cheeky Breakery. So quite a few
Okay,
decent players there. So
I
um,
gotcha.
do you want to come over and go over their roster real quick with me?
Sure, as I try to get the thing is not popping up.
You might
My
have to switch to
unknowns.
match. It might have the wrong match default selected, but I can go ahead and start. One sec. I actually have to pull it up as well. Okay, so for Mini Unicorn, we have Bug Tank Killer, Ice T with Noise, T Bear T, and Thunderstorms. And do you have it pulled up yet, or should I go over Peaky Blinders as well?
I just got it up, but now I've closed the webcam.
Nice.
There we go. Everything's working now perfectly. No kinks at all. Okay. It for some reason didn't recognize it. Okay, yes, go ahead. I've got everything.
Okay. Well, Peaky Blinders has Imphy, Senpai, Iheo, Serve, Never Lucky, and Toxic Power. So I don't know if you recognize any of these names. The only one I recognize is Serve, just because I've been in a clan where he was in, and I've just kind of seen him around.
Yes, some of the names. Yes, Serve is a name that I recognize. Halo is. It's not Baby Halo. It's a different.
Yep, that's definitely a different Halo. So
Probably Serve is the only name that I really recognize on either team, and I'm sorry if I'm supposed to recognize one of you.
I mean,
Thunderstorms, I hate. Had a thunderstorm earlier.
yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. The only one I recognize is Serve. So a lot of these players in this community league are kind of new around the community of the esports, more organized, longer formats. So I mean, see how well they fit in here, and yeah, the match will be starting in probably about 5 minutes. We're just here to go over some of the teams and other interesting things. Actually, I don't know if you have the map pick band config right now, but I set it up beforehand, so I can go over that, and you can at least listen in if you have it. I don't. You can check if you have it, but
The map pick bands are just a lot.
yeah, it might like you have to manually set it up. It's like this. It's not perfectly optimized, but Mini or Peaky Blinders started out first, and they banned Sand River. Mini Unicorns followed up with a ban on Tundra. Then Peaky Blinders' first map choice was Cliff, and then Mini Unicorns selected Defense. And then Mini Unicorns selected Himmelsdorf, and Peaky Blinders selected Defense first. And then the overtime map
So,
will be Cliff
oh, and Cliff is still. So we'll start on Cliff, then move to Himmelsdorf, and then
and on
potentially back to
Cliff.
Cliff.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
the
So Cliff we saw yesterday, but Himmelsdorf we did not. I have
yep.
not seen Himmelsdorf played in this format. Is it particularly favored for one side, or how does it
I've
normally?
only watched about five or so games on Himmelsdorf, and it didn't feel super fun to play. But I mean, we'll see how the meta has kind of evolved since then because it was very early stages of testing, and I'm sure some of these teams have probably already scrimmed the map and find something that maybe worked a little bit better than what we were using. So
Okay, fair enough.
also, one interesting change for today: the previous format was attack, attack, defense, defense for every single map. We have switched it to go attack, defense, attack, defense. So it's going to alternate every single battle instead of going two battles, then alternating. So
Okay, so a little bit more potential for back and forth rather than feeling that dread of going into attack at the end with 2 rounds left and having to try.
there's that, and also some of the teams, like in the match that we casted on Monday, Massive Mistake had defense for the very first 2 rounds, and then they had to attack 4 times in a row, which that can be very difficult, especially with a lot of these maps being so defense sided. That
Can be demoralizing.
yeah, losing 4 times in a row, and all of a sudden it puts the opponent in a great position to just close out the series with riding all the momentum they got from the last round. So I think
Yeah,
it's a good
indeed.
change.
Yeah, knowing how I used to pick with maps and whatnot, I mean, it changed a little bit near the end of Gold League, but for one season there was very similar. It was a best of 9. First two, you played 2 maps and you did 2 on one side and then 2 on attack, or 2 on defense and then 2 on attack, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I always liked going attack first when attack was not favored. Get your,
Yeah, get
if
them
you
out
win
of
a
the
round
way.
on attack, it's good, yeah, but you don't want to lose a defense kind of cold, not warmed up, and then have to think about your defenses as, or sorry, your attacks as you have.
Yeah, and I like that kind of style as well. I like just getting the hard stuff out of the way and then ride that defensive momentum into a more 50-50 map. So I can definitely understand that reasoning.
Well,
Um,
there's also, we should mention the Pick the Winner contest. If you've not seen that, that link will be in my chat, and I believe yours as well. Pick which team you believe will win in Fantasy League. Pick your Fantasy League on the fantasy
yeah,
site,
and
fantasytanks.com, I believe.
I'm not sure if I'm. I need to set something up to show the top fantasy players from the previous day. But welcome everybody. Welcome to the second day of the. I had my sound turned on in the stream still. Let me head over there real quick anyway, and just give a quick shout out to the top couple fantasy pointers for the last day. So actually, the top 2 are both from the team Melancholia Monarchs, and it was OP and Little, and then Wallhacks rounded out the top 3, all of them scoring well above 500 points, and even OP getting over 600.
I forgot to make my fantasy team. I will have to do that next time. I believe that by now it's probably. I'll have to set that up. Well, fantasy tanks can be a little bit different, and in this mode, whoo, if you're the guy that dies first, you're not going to be winning. But if
Yep.
you're the guy that stays alive, oh boy.
And it looks like we are actually heading into the very first match here.
Let's go ahead and tab it.
Yeah, we got mini unicorns here bringing the Batchat, Progetto, and an Oods 1516. It's a tank that I wanted to see on Cliff. And then what are Peaky Blinders bringing?
They are bringing 1 Kronwagen, 1 Wheezy 5A, and 1 Batchat. So heavier than yesterday. I don't believe we saw a team bring 2 heavy tanks on either side of this map yesterday. And yeah, I was also intrigued by the Udes. So actually, Mini Unicorn bringing 3 mediums. I don't think we saw that either, did we? I think there was
sorry.
always at least 1 heavy.
Yeah, yeah, for the match that we played or watched on Monday, yes, every team brought a heavy tank for either side. And it'll be interesting to see that speed difference for mini unicorns compared to the double heavy setup of Peaky Blinders, if they're able to get some early punish in, or if Peaky Blinders are able to play safe enough to avoid it.
Yeah, if you're going to bring 3 mediums on a map like this with the way that it's normally played, I mean, I think that you can do that, but it means that you have to be in exactly the positions you want to be in and ideally get up damage. Now, Halo was able to get up to the top of the lighthouse, or at least he can continue to climb if he chooses without any punish, and no punish going out on the heavy. So in the end, I'm feeling like these tanks are a little bit low, although there goes the first shot of damage on the Toxic Power from the Prosciutto.
Yeah, and Halo right now has a very good position up in the high ground on that Progetto. Is going to force the Progetto to play very carefully and not actually be able to punish these heavies as much as he would like. So I would have liked to see Mini Unicorns get some early punish in, but it's a little bit too late for now. The heavies already have their positions they're wanting, and it's going to be pretty difficult for a tank like a Progetto to deal with this Kronwagen.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with the Kronwagen, and it doesn't look like Mini Unicorns has much of a plan. Now, Ice-T was able to get by missing 3 shots on him, from 2 from the Kron, 1 from the Wheat, and the Uda's eating the shell as well, so the Kronwagen is reloading, but with that Batchat backing off and technically eating those shots, they're not really able to do anything while the Kronwagen's reloading, and there goes one more shot of damage onto the Batchat. This is not looking good for Mini Unicorns, and again, they are on defense, but if you are going to go really light, and especially if the enemy goes technically heavier than what we normally see, you have to have a game plan for getting punished. Like we saw yesterday with one of the, or sorry, Monday with one of the teams that brought a TVP. They had a plan to get early punish as best they can. Just, but again, yeah, no Kronwagen. You can see Serv is just kind of cresting as he sees fit. The Udas, for all of its gun depression, isn't able to stand even close to holding off.
Yeah, he's not able to get into the position where that tank is just so deadly because that Kron's turret is just such a deadly force. And the thing is, this is a defense for Mini Unicorns, but like I've said before, and what I've seen so many times is if you give up control, especially of this middle hill, it's so incredibly difficult to defend with just the 3 tanks. You can't really control anything. So Halo
going up to the top of the
yeah.
lighthouse, he'll be able to, with where Ice-T is, he'll be able to easily spot him through the bush and get an easy shot as long as he sets up properly.
Yep, it looks like he
poke in the open. I guess it's because Ice-T must be lit already.
Yeah, they were able to put a shot into serve, which is nice, but forcing off that Batchat at position, I actually don't know. It looks like he's not actually getting lit from Heo. So, or
Ice-T
perhaps
fires
he is
another shell. That was at least 2 shells, and you can see he just started to reload. In order for, well, I guess it's not Halo, but I'm going to call him, it's Heo.
Yeah,
he just has to hook up on those bushes in order to spot that Batchat, or at least back it off. But now they know that the Batchat's clipping, and I mean, they are going to push, I'm assuming.
Push. It looks like they're going to try and focus at that ooze. This Batchat has a fantastic position. Toxic power in that 5A going down into the low ground, and these tanks are just completely trapped from all sides, and Peaky has so many good whoa, that Batchat almost actually flipping there.
He may have almost done something really bad. The Kronwagen firing off a couple into ice. I was gonna say they have to do it while the Batchat was loading, and you can see Thunderstorms going down to one shot, but the Kronwagen is clipping. I believe Heo has a couple. Oh, he shoots it back.
Is able to take down the Batchat though.
And so less than 1,000 health remaining. I mean, we have a 3,000 HP advantage on Peaky. And again, they are on attack.
Yep, and even though that Kron just reloads so fast with that update that even though he put on his 3 shells, you think you can punish him, but just reloads too quickly. And is a very convincing first round for Peaky Blinders against Mini Unicorns.
Yeah, it never looked like Peaky Blinders was really... I mean, they missed some shots here and there, and they may have taken a hit they didn't have to, but they never looked at all like they were out of control of whatever they wanted to do in that game. They got exactly what they wanted for really no punish. They moved very slowly to not that moving slowly is bad, but they weren't under any pressure. They could do what they want at the pace they wanted to do, and they did that.
And let's see if Unicorns is able to adapt anything. I think that you have to play very aggressively on Cliff if you want to have any success. If you just give up that middle hill on 3v3, you're pretty much asking to end up losing a game in some way or another. So let's go over to post-game stats real quick. Mini Unicorn with Thunderstorms in that Progetto able to put out that 2,000 damage, but Ice-T with that bat only be able to get maybe 1 shot in, it looks like, with a 5-round mag, so definitely not as unfortunate if you want to go over Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders able to get served with 2,160 damage at the top and 2 kills. The Wheezy 5A played by Toxic, getting around 1,900, and the Batchat by Halo, around 1,600 damage. So a pretty solid, even spread. I mean, all of them stayed alive. No one did 1 shot and died. They were not really under much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were pretty happy with all the positions they were able to take so early into the game, and like I said before, it's attack, defense, attack, defense. So now we're moving into mini unicorns on their attack and Peaky's on their defense. And if that tank is readied up from Halo, is that... Here, wait, I need to check. Is that actually what he's going to be playing here? I don't think they've readied up tanks. I hope so.
I don't believe they have. I'm watching,
Yeah.
but we're not gonna say anything until. I mean, I don't want to even speculate.
I hope they do. You know, it'd bring up a little bit of spice. I will say one tank that I think did really well in testing that I have not seen yet is the 705A. It seems like kind of an unconventional tank, like a weird choice, but the 750 Alpha and just it being generally a very tanky tank.
Oh, it has 650, I believe.
Is this 650? I thought it was
I
750.
believe so. Everything about it makes you think that it's 750, but I'm pretty sure it's 650. Because
You're right. I have to check
it
now.
reloads in like 14 seconds or so. It makes the same kaboom sound, and you always think that it should.
Oh,
be.
it is 650. You are correct. It just
It's
shows to
weird.
go how much I know about that tank.
It shows that like I was taking a break when that tank was released, so I hadn't played in a couple months when I came back, and it took me months to remember that that was not a 750 Alpha gun, like an E100 or
Yeah.
that's what you kind of think it is, but it's not. And it's an interesting Alpha too, because that 650 Alpha, it's able to always against, if it's fighting 1v1 against a 750 Alpha gun, a 60 TP or something like that, it can always get that second shot before the bigger Alpha gun can.
750 can.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
Especially in a meta of kind of like when both teams are just peeking, trying to trade little shots here and there. If you get hit with a 650 Alpha gun, you feel it, and it puts you down to about a 3-shot to most tanks safe here in a bat shot compared to, you know, still a 4 or 5-shot if it was a smaller Alpha gun.
Yeah, it would be a little rough on this map, but I definitely could see it in a 3v3 type format, but we are just now getting into game. So Peaky Blinders on their defense on the sides have swapped, as Hitman pointed out at the start, bringing a Kronvog and a Wheezy 5A and a Batchet on defense. And what about Mini Unicorns attack?
They are deciding to go a little bit heavier this time with the 5A, the Batchet, and a Progetto. So the tank that we saw readied up initially that eventually didn't get picked was a AMX M4 something.
The consistent fire, non-auto reloader French tier 10 heavy, which is actually okay. I mean, the tier 9 I understand is a lot better, tier for tier, but the tier 10 doesn't have that much HP in it. It's weird.
It can be annoying, but I think there's so many other tanks that do what it's designed to do, but better, that you just don't see it much.
I don't know why you would want it over, say, a 5A on this map. It doesn't bring enough HP if it's going to be that big. And you can see here, the Batchet's just kind of checking each other out in the middle. Thunderstorms from his prosciutto's looking to get some easy damage if he can, but looks like misses or bounces his shot on the...
Yeah, decides to back off. So again, they bring a somewhat faster lineup than Peaky, but not able to actually get any punish. T-Bear here with a fairly aggressive position. I wonder if they actually spotted this 5A, because I don't think either team were playing. But
no, because Heyo just...
hello, there's a 5A.
Damage.
And let's see if they actually decide to push on this 5A. I believe that's what they will do, but this Progetto of Thunderstorms is going to try and back him up a little bit. And this could actually be very good. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Heyo is clipping, or he's holding one.
Yep, and here comes the Batchet onto the 5A. It looks like they might be able to kill it very quickly, but Ice-T might be a little bit too far out into the range of that crown, but they actually get an Amarak overkill on the tank.
Turret does a little damage to it. So Heyo was actually just holding that one shell, I think, that we saw. Kronvagen fires one into Ice-T, and he will get... But now that Kronvagen just has one, they need to concentrate on killing this bat as quickly as they can. The Kronvagen missing another shot. They have to shoot him twice, unless the 5A gets a really high roll, but they cannot allow that.
Oh, and he does get a high roll.
The Kronvagen, I believe, is clipping, or was holding one. He should be clipping, but it's going to be really hard for him to do this. The Prosciutto's just going to try to load as many shells as possible. The Kron pretty much has to kill the 5A with his
puts
next
one
clip
into the third.
First shot.
Puts
second
the
one does no damage,
bounce.
and that's going to do.
Yep, and puts a third into the Progetto. So that's going to be a very nice win from Mini Unicorns. That was a very decisive and strong push for them around the outside. And I think it looked decent for Peaky Blinders at the very start, but I think they just either bounced too many shots or I don't know. It seemed to just go completely wrong very quickly.
Yeah, it looked at the 5A, I guess, was in an okay position because he didn't get the prosciutto and stuff were able to get in there, I guess, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, but the Kronwagen wasn't able to get that much damage out. Actually, he was able to get out a lot less than I. Look at the post-game stats.
Yeah.
Serb was only able to get 960. Granted, one of those was a kill shot, but
And
KO was able to get up 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean, and Serv was alive for that entire thing, and he got an extra 3 shots after the battle had pretty much already been lost. So only being able to get that 960 damage is, I'm sure, pretty disappointing for him.
T-Bear blocking 1700 damage. Now, I think 2 of those were from the Kronwagen, but even before that, if you just take those 2 shells away, you consider it 2 to 3 shells from the enemy 5A or Batchat that just didn't connect. 3v3 with autoloaders, that's enough there just to end the engagement completely, and the prosciutto just doing top 2400.
Yeah, and Hayo also holding that last shell for a good 10 or so seconds just to put it into a, what was it, like a full life 5A?
I think
that
he
kind
put it
of
to the Batchat, I believe, but
maybe.
Yeah, but it took at least 10 seconds.
He could have easily put that in way beforehand, you know? He could have put that in and then ran away instead of running away, waiting a long time, putting 1 shell in, and then just being useless until the rest of the game. But
yeah, it looks like it's just, maybe they just chalk it up to, hey, we made mistakes, but at the same time, that's the attacking team winning both rounds. So
I think that maybe, I mean, this could be completely false and they just might have been playing better on attackable times, but I feel like the defense is just playing a little bit too passive almost on these matches. When you hear the word defense, you automatically kind of feel very, you want to stay back, you don't want to actually do anything too crazy. But like I've said, Cliff is one of those maps that either side has a pretty equal chance at winning. It's just whoever wins the map control. And the first game, Peaky Blinders were able to wrestle away that middle hill, but then this game they tried to do a similar thing, but then they just got pushed on the outside and lost it. So
well, here's one thing that I was wondering is, well, now they've brought a Kronwagen, but so for Mini Unicorns defense, we have 1 Kronwagen, 1 Batchat, 1 prosciutto, and what about Peaky Blinders?
For Peaky Blinders, we have a Kron as well, a 5A, and a Batchat. So a little bit more meaty for Peaky Blinders, but it obviously didn't work out for them last round. So let's see if they're able to, or I guess it worked out for their defense with having a little bit more meat, or their attack, I should say.
I guess it's that this is the first time we're getting the replication of the first round. So if you want to look at it like this, Peaky Blinders bring in the same lineup they brought on their attack that won, while Mini Unicorns bringing a slightly different lineup on their defense that lost. They're bringing a Kronwagen. They dropped the
Uds 15.
The Udes, that's right. So I assume it was just kind of, the Udes sitting up there just being like, I guess the Kronwagen gets to poke an eye.
Yeah, I do like that decision from them. I think bringing in Kron allows them to fight for control instead of having or being forced to relinquish it.
Ice-T not even going up. I mean, I disagree with this just because of the fact that the enemy has a 5A and a Kronwagen. I don't know why you wouldn't at least go up there, because they're setting up for their crossfire. They're going in very defensive minded that the enemy will eventually have to push, and they want the Batchat at that D5 position in order to be in a crossfire position for it. I'm just not crazy about it.
I think D5 is such a weak position in 3v3. I think it just gets crossfired by so many angles. You have to play so safe, and that you're not really able to rotate anywhere.
Yeah, he's starting to leave now to try to rotate, but yeah, the Batchat Kronwagen will light him. And I mean, there's 1 miss, there's 2 misses,
3 misses, 4 misses.
A lot of misses. One connection.
Okay, there's 2 connections. And now he's trapped, it looks like.
Now, can the Kronwagen and prosciutto realistically put out enough punish on this while the Batchat and the Kronwagen reload? Probably not. The Wheezy 5A is still there. Like, they're gonna. But the Kronwagen's taking low probability shots on the 5A, and as a result, bounces 2 of them, and now Serve is reloaded, and now he's just dumping his clip into the already reloading.
Ooh.
Ooh, but another 2 misses. Kronwagen gun can be a bit.
Ice-T is so lucky right now. He should be dead like 9 times out of 10 right now. He's dodged maybe 7 shots by driving in a straight line in the open. And
I just have to think if that's the strategy, you have to assume that you're hoping the enemy team is doing so badly that you don't lose, because if you're playing against it, you assume that players are going to hit.
Yeah.
And to kind of assume they won't, and especially in a 3v3 where you don't have the HP to work.
Yeah,
I don't. If you continue to do that all season, you will probably not win many rounds on.
Yeah, and technically, the game's not over yet, but at the same time, Mini has absolutely nothing to show for all this bleed they've taken. The only shot they're able to trade back is in the serve.
HP. 2,000, more than 2,000 HP. We don't all the time see this time of HP advantages in 15v15 clan wars battles when a team is up. Like, this is, this is only 3v3. That's a tier 10 tank of HP.
This flex is just not going to work. The second that anything gets slit, that's not with the Kron. They're just going to push over, and then they can just simply turn around. They still have great positions. And
yeah, I think it's probably the right decision. I mean, it's not necessarily the wrong decision. It's a,
it's a decision.
We are down, and we're
like,
most likely going to lose. Let's do a Hail Mary, and maybe we can.
I think worst case scenario, they get spotted before they get in by Serve right now, which he does, and that's worst case scenario, I think, because
Serve just goes over the second that those shots come in, and Serve only needs to shoot once in the Rambo.
I don't think he's paying attention now. This actually might work out better than I thought it might. Serve gets the first one in the Kron, but it doesn't actually kill him. But someone bounces.
Serve, I think Serve should have, after he fired that shot, he should have just gone for the Rambo. It's only 12 HP. The enemy Kronwagen is only at 4. Assume that you're going to be dead no matter what, but now one of your Batchat 5 shells or your 5A has to waste a shell.
Ooh, this Prosciutto is a great ram.
I'm not sure. Heo's trying to get the kill shot. I think the Prosciutto is fully out, so he's going to take a while to load, and Batchat just needs to try to stay alive here. Thunderstorm starting to... You can see the HP did come a little bit closer, but at the end of the day...
Yeah, that Kron was so close to having a shell loaded for that Batchat. If he was able to actually kill the Batchat, put 2 in the Toxic, they actually could have brought that back, which I would have been just amazed if they were actually able to bring back that kind of a deficit. But
Heo just going up to the top. Thunderstorm's running away. The 5A just has to close the gap. I mean, this isn't necessarily wrong. He's just...
This is defense for Unicorns. If he is able to kill this Batchat, he has the potential of just running away from the 5A forever.
There is only 2 minutes remaining, so Toxic Power basically right here, I mean, he almost, depending on where Thunderstorms is when he gets to this cap circle and whether Thunderstorms is lit, he's going to have to decide whether to just sit on the cap or drop.
Yep, and Thunderstorm stopping to try and take the shot. And it's not enough time for one person to cap it. So if Thunderstorms either really needs to get this kill on the Batchat, he's driving back into the open though, it's over.
And it is a 360 alpha gun, but he does low roll the kill shot on the bat. But at the same time, I don't think Toxic Power is going to have too much trouble running down. I don't think the Prosciutto could have stayed completely safe.
Yeah, and that's the second round going over to Peaky. That was actually a very close game, all things considered, with the early advantage Peaky got. I'm very impressed Unicorn was able to pull it back that close, but in the end, just not able to finish it off. Just so close to being able to kill him. That Kron, if he reloaded a second earlier, could have killed the Batchat, put 2 into the 5A, or if the Prosciutto actually was able to run away, just a lot of things that could have gone slightly better in that end game, but...
Indeed. Yeah, I just had a minor hiccup with my stream. I'm not sure why. Stream disconnected for a few seconds, and then it popped.
Very weird. So, going over the post game stats, Mini Unicorn, Thunderstorms with 1700 damage, T Bear, 1200 damage in that Kron. And in Ice T, again, not so great of a showing with the 700 damage in the Bat Chat. I think that's 3 shots total over the last, or the 2 defense games. So I would like to see them run a different position for that Bat Chat if they do play Cliff in the future. And how did Peaky Blinders look?
Peaky Blinders, Batchat got out 2150 damage with 2 kills, Heyo, and then Serv was able to get out 1800 in his Kron. Meanwhile, the 5A was able to get out 17. And I am, for some reason, just dropped a couple frames and then disconnected again. I'm not sure what's going on.
That's no bueno.
Yeah, I'm going to try to fix this. Please talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Okay. Well, looks like we will be going into the 4th game pretty shortly. It looks like tank picking is underway currently. And let's see kind of how these teams adapt this final game. It is a little bit weird to be switching every single game because I see, 2 similar lineups and I'm thinking, hey, they just ran that. But I'm like, wait, it's different sides. Or they ran it 2 games before. So it looks like... tanks have been selected, and we'll be heading into a game very shortly. You still having some issues over in your stream?
It seems like it's now reconnecting again. I don't know why it's like I drop 100 frames and then it disconnects and then it does something. I don't understand. Now it's live and fine.
Yeah, I mean...
With the delay, I don't normally look over at it too much, but it happened just for 30 seconds in that game, and then it happened again. Now it seems okay, and we're...
Well, hopefully it steadies out a little bit as we go into the 4th game on Cliff. Mini Unicorn bringing the 5A, the Batchat, and a Progetto. And want to go over Peaky's setup real quick?
Sure, and Peaky Blinders on their defense bringing the Kronwagen, the 5A, and the Batch. So a heavy defense. I don't think we've seen the 2 heavies on defense yet, have we? We saw them on attack.
I believe they did bring them on the last defense. It's just that 5A got picked so early that...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's very forgettable how it happened.
Yeah. So we're right now looking at a 2-1 lead for
Peaky Blinders
Peaky
currently.
Blinders, correct. So again, still maintaining the all attack 100%.
Yeah, very true. I want to see if Peaky Blinders decides to play a little bit more aggressively. I guess it's fairly difficult bringing such a heavy lineup, but still I would like to see some form of coordinated aggression onto Mini Unicorns this time.
Yeah, and it looks like the prosciutto is coming up, and he takes a 520-22 hit from the 5A.
Here comes the Batch Head around the side, bouncing a shot though. And Thunderstorm is getting massively punished by this Batchat now, who's just getting easy shots into his side.
Yeah, they don't have anything to answer that, but the prosciutto's going up there now, but I like this setup for Peaky Blinders a lot more, especially with all of this early damage. I mean, the prosciutto's just...
That's a free tank.
Have they fired back yet? I think that was the first shot was from Ice-T. I don't know if the prosciutto even fired a shell.
I think he bounced one, or missed one, I believe. But yeah, he just died with probably 4 shells still in the container. And now they're down a tank. The Kron, I don't know if he chose to reload or if he's holding 1 or 2 shells, but he has at least 2 to put into his 5A. And this one's definitely going to be going in the side of Peaky.
Yeah, this will be the first defensive win of the night, and it will end with a 3-1, or Cliff, sorry, will end with a 3-1 scored line, if I'm not...
Yep, 3-1 in favor of Peaky. Yep, this one wasn't even close. It was probably the least close out of all 4 of the Cliff games. So good adaptation from Peaky Blinders. They kind of realized, hey, these guys played like this time. Let's just play more aggressive towards the middle and just punish their rotations around this time instead of letting them go unpunished. So looking at the post game, I mean,
nice. Yeah, I want to see 0 shots fired from Thunderstorm. So whatever the strategy was, it's hard to win in pub battles 15 on 15 clan wars without firing, but in a 3v3, it's really
Especially
hard to
when
win
you're
without.
in, especially if you're in an auto loading tank or an auto reloading tank, like having 16 or what is it, like 1300 damage or so with his shells and not being able to get any of that out before dying. I mean, it always just makes you feel really bad inside.
Yeah, and I guess we'll be moving on to Himmel. It seems like my stream has gotten everything sorted out now.
Very good. So this is one map that I am not as familiar as I'd like to be with. Like I said, I've only played it a good less than 10 battles, and that's all I've even seen on this map. It's not a map that I think we are played super much on, like Teal Team or anything, so my experience is definitely pretty limited.
I loved this map in clan wars, pub battles, and tournament format and attack defense at tier 8s and at tier 10s. But 3-on-3 Himmelsdorf attack defense, I'll be brutally honest, I will try to be positive when I can be, sounds like a nightmare. It's a map that's very big. The spawns are incredibly far apart, where even the attacking team doesn't really have a lot of options for spotting at the beginning. If it's only 3 tanks that you're spotting, the attacking team does, in a 7v7, the attacking team does have spotting options because you're looking for certain numbers of tanks going to which flank. In a 3v3, though, Himmelsdorf is a map that you split and then you figure out what you want to do. In a 3v3, I'm not sure how it's going to be played, but I have to think you're going to stay pretty close together and you're going to just almost go into some of it a little bit blind, maybe a little bit similar to the way we saw Tundra play, Tundra played yesterday, where it was, you can do a little bit of spawning, but you're not going to really split in 2 groups at the start and just kind of hope that they're not there. Because if the enemy's sending 3 tanks at one of your splits, it takes a long time on Himmelsdorf to move around.
Yeah.
But the caps aren't really that much of a threat, right? Because you have enough time to move around if you're on defense. So if they did put someone on the cap, you're not really scared.
The big thing is that 7-minute time limit. It's very hard to go to one flank and then switch to another. So pretty much when you go somewhere, you're almost committing. And at least personally, what I've seen most players and teams do is I've seen most attacks happen down the 8 line and try and get up into the second cap. That way they can get a little bit of pressure and bait the defensive team to come in. So let's go into...
So we're in game.
Whoops.
So Peaky Blinders on defense with a 3-1 advantage, bringing 1 Object 277, 1 Super Conqueror, and 1 430U. And what are Mini Unicorns bringing on their attack?
They're deciding to bring the 50B, a 5A, and a V4. So I did see the V4 used quite a lot in practice to actually some pretty good success, just because it is so annoying to just reliably pin that tank. And you can just use it as like a battering ram to just go straight at the enemy and have the other tank support. So we'll see if Unicorns decide to use it in that respect, or if they have other plans for it, maybe putting it at B0 while the rest of the tanks push.
Yeah, it's definitely, you don't want the 268 version 4 to be your last tank left alive. It doesn't turn very well. It doesn't have good DPM. But if it's the tank that has to be focused down first, it's definitely a good tank at eating shells, and even the best of players, there's a lot of RNG involved. You can miss the hatch shot. You can, low roll on your penetration on the upper plate. There's a lot of shells that it can potentially eat. And in a 3v3 situation, that can be quite significant. But if it ends up being in a full brawl, it has to make that space so that the 50B and the 5A can focus something down quickly. If they don't, it may not be so great. But you can see they're all coming off this 0 line right now. I don't believe the 277 spotted that.
I think they did, just purely off of their rotations currently. The Super Conk is flexing back, and the 430 is gone to watch D-line. I could be wrong, but oh yeah, he's definitely spotted with that 5A crossing that opening now. So
yeah, with where the 5A is, sure, but I don't think he was spotting before. Now to spot at that distance where the 268 version 4 is, you're going to need optics and possibly from the window binocs, if memory serves, in order to spot B0. But you won't spot everything, but you'll spot heavy tanks and the like. But in a 3v3 format, to bring binocs on a tank like a 277 is almost certainly not worth it.
Yep. And another decision that they made is bringing that 50B over something like a 57. The 50B definitely does. It is nicer having the APCR and having a more accurate gun, but then again, having a 57 with a 20-some second reload with 1600 potential damage in 6 seconds, I mean, it
The name of
definitely
the game
feels
is
pretty good.
deleting something fast. And also, I mean, 430U is not exactly the most accurate gun, but if it's shooting at a 50B, it doesn't tend to miss. But if it's having to shoot at a 57, you know, it can troll bounce. It does have to make its shots count a little bit more efficient.
And I don't like this 50B's positioning because very little chance to come down an 8 line with those slow tanks. And now T-Bear is going to get poked on. Serve misses his first shot, but the 430U is able to put one in. And now the 50B
question is,
looks
can they
to come
counter
around.
push?
This 277 hasn't actually started moving yet for fear of that V4, I believe.
Yeah, and the only thing that could happen is if the 268 version 4 pushes down off the hill while the 5A and the 50B all condense south, that's the only chance the 277 ends up being out of the fight for a little bit, but it doesn't take him that long in an Object 277 to get to B7, and just as I say that, here comes the 268.
Yeah, I think he needs to get off the hill. I don't think there's too much he can do back there. I like
He made his shot
decision.
count.
But T-Bear is just taking so much damage, and here comes the poke from 50B, but Serve is already expecting it, and the 430 is in a good position too, and he puts his second shot into the building, which is just not good at all.
So the 277 does go through the cap area, and there's the first to kill the 268 version 4, tracking him once. If he came south on the 5 line, they could have just baited them in, but same time going B line. And they're up a full tank. They've only taken one shot. Well, now 2 shots of damage, and they're about to be up the second.
Yep, and the 50B had to force a reload, and it just takes so long for that tank to get his shells back that he wasn't able to contribute to this fight at all.
Yeah, and he's
Might
going
be
to
able
need
to
a
pick
lot
up
of
the
reloads.
430. Ends up bouncing one off the front plate, so he is now on reload as well, and that'll be the first game going over to Peaky Blinders.
So we have a match point for Peaky Blinders. They are now up 4-1. So with 3 potential Himmelsdorf games left, they only have to win one of them in order to.
Yeah, and I mean, I like that defense from Peaky Blinders. They decided to use that F line very solidly, and you know, able to crossfire that cap out without much retaliation from Unicorns. So go over to post game stats real quick. Let's see.
2,500 from Toxic Power, 2K from MyHeo, and still 1,750 from Sir.
Yeah,
Want to
and
go
that
over
V4.
minis?
I mean, the V4, I think it is a solid tank. You'd have to use it correctly, though. And he shot 4, hit 4, but was only able to pin the one shot at the very end. And he ended up low rolling that as well. And he only bounced 440 damage just because after, you know, they started to focus on him, they had 2 different angles on him. So just he wasn't able to actually put his tank to the use that you would want from it. So.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like an okay opener from both sides. It does concern me a little bit with the way cap pressure works. You're going to have to really, with one person being destined to be on the cap, it's very difficult to get the correct trades. And I don't even know if you can use B0 if you end up doing it, because if you have someone at B0, they know someone's on the cap, they know someone's at B0, they know no matter what, there can only be one tank in the southern part of the. So they're just always going to be able to rotate 2 tanks down there and put pressure on.
Yeah, and at least personally, I'm not too fond of the 0 line like push. I think you get lit if you cross back down 8 line, you push down, and it just I just think it just puts you in just not some so great positions. That 50B cross, so that Super Conk knew exactly where he was, and he was just constantly aimed. And that 430U was peeking in a way that if that 50B pokes, he just turns his turret right and he's hold down perfectly. So I would like to see them.
Not bringing a Super Conqueror on attack, too. On a map like this, you'd think you'd probably want one, but I understand it's off. Oh, it looks like we're just going into the next one.
Yeah. So this time, Mini Unicorns is still bringing that 50B, 5A, and the V4 comp, but this time they're on defense. And what does Peaky bring in this game?
They are bringing an Object 277, a Super Conqueror, and a 430U. So basically, from their defense to attack, they dropped the they brought the
Nothing.
exact same lineup.
Yeah. So both teams bringing the exact same lineup, even though they are on different sides of the map this time. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I guess their
interesting.
strategies are pretty similar or something.
Yeah.
And we'll see what Unicorns does on this defense. I think I've actually never even seen a team try one cap yet. And as I say that, I see Peaky Blinders going over there. So I like that. I've only ever seen teams attack this 2 cap just because I think that's just what teams feel is viable. Actually not. Oh, they're going up 8 line. Of course they are. I want to see a team go for 1. I don't think it's possible, but you know, maybe.
They are going up. 50B and Wheezy will spot them, but it's difficult shots to make count, and they don't really know. They don't know the 430U and Super Conquer where they are, but the Super Conquer shouldn't be able to be getting shots on them from anywhere yet. 430U they don't know, could be up. So now they're in this situation of, well, the Super Conquer and the 430U will go towards the 5 line, and they'll be able to back off this 5A. He's side scraping out, which is a big mistake because, yeah, they know you're there.
Yep, and he takes 2 shots in return, so good rotation from Peaky Blinders, able to punish Mini for overextending slightly, and let's see if Toxic is actually going to take any punish for this crossing. I don't think he will. I think he's just going to come up, play hold down, try and force Mini out, and allow safe passage for the rest of his team.
Yeah, and Mini has to land a hit here, I mean, and not take one in return in order to just start bringing the HP back a little bit close.
Yep.
Ice-T looks like he's on the inside of this road, so I don't think the Super Conqueror spotted him when he turned in here. But if he stays on the correct side of the road that he's on now, he will not be lit or shot at unless Super Conqueror leaves, which is the correct move.
So it looks like there is a rotation out of the 8 line from Peaky Blinders. And I think that's pretty smart. They're kind of just thinking, well, we've already shown that we're 8 line, so perhaps Mini Unicorns is set up in a defensive position over here already. So maybe let's try and, you know, rotate around the map, take some other control. Serve is in a strong position with good vision all the way down the D line, so
He makes his
not going to
move
be able
at
to
the
surprise.
right time. No one was watching 5 line when he made that. He should be lit now by T-Bear, but that was fortunate for. It was necessary, though. I mean, there is only, as you can see, we're 2.5 minutes into this round. It's at 4.5 minutes now, so you do not have infinite time to make your. So the reality is, at this point, they don't really have the time to go back towards the 8 line. Most likely, they're just going to commit to this.
Yeah,
assuming nothing's out in the train yard.
Unicorns has already completely moved out of this flank. The 50B gets a nice shot into IHO, but he snaps one right back at him, so. And this 5A, you can't.
Takes a hit,
I mean,
but
I can't
he's
believe
got
he
a
didn't
berm he
take
can
more
hide,
than that.
but he.
He's still going.
I'm actually kind of surprised he's still going. I would have
Yeah.
thought he'd stop at that berm because there's no. You're just gonna turn around and go back.
Yeah, I thought he was. I don't think he actually needed to move from there. I think he could have just stood at that rock instead of, you know, taking 1,000 damage to try and rotate out of there. But
Ice-T pushing up that 8 line now, but I think also with T-Bear being lit and stuck where he was earlier, if you're Peaky Blinders' point of view, with a 50B and a 268 version 4, are you really scared of either of those tanks getting out into C2 in the train yard? I don't think so, as long as you keep the 5A. I mean, the 268 version 4 can give resets from out there, but if he's doing that, you can then just leave and push wherever you want.
yeah. And the 50B does cross over, takes a shot and punish. I think the saving grace for Peaky Blinders or for Unicorns will have to be this V4. And it looks like the V4 is actually lit, and they might just send the 430U and just go circle him up.
Yeah, the 268 misses his shot, and the Super Conqueror does too. But yeah, the 430U not completely committing. He's just getting his one shot, and Toxic Power knows to just back off, side scrape his corner, while the 50B and the Wheezy 5A try to push towards him. Now the 5A is.
Yeah,
Ice-T is now a 2-shot. Toxic
And
misses his shot.
goes slightly under his lower play, but yeah, Hayo is just going to be able to finish up this, or not.
No,
he
he's
actually
not. He lingered a little too late. Now, it's important to note that everything is lit during that. You know that they're coming in there. It's definitely at a certain point you kind of have to, you know, not get shot from the 3 line. that kind of brings a possibility back for Mini Unicorns, even though technically all 3 are one shot to the 277, and 2 of them are one shot to the Super Conqueror.
Yeah, and now they're all one shots
Now
to
they're all
everybody.
one shots.
And Toxic doesn't need to aim. He just throws a snapshot straight into 50B's turret because it's so big, and there should be absolutely no way for Unicorns
to do this.
win this now.
Now,
so.
Serve could try to chase him down, but that's a mistake. They have two very healthy tanks. I think the correct choice is just stick them both on the cap. Make the 268 come. He's going to have to get multiple resets, and if he comes for the resets, even if you miss once, you can just have the 277 chase him down afterward.
Serve does bounce his shot, even though the 268 lifted up his underbelly for him, but still, there's you just can't win it. It's just full life tank and 1,000 HP and a minute 30 left. I mean,
and the 268 has to be the one to poke, and you can see Peaky Blinders having a little bit of discipline where they're just saying, no, we don't have to poke into you. You have to poke into us. And you got.
Let's see if the V4 loaded an HE shell, maybe, but
that would be balls.
I think he's just giving up.
Jeez.
Or he takes.
He got the reset with AP.
He
but...
did get the track shot. And then he just peeks out, immediately taken down. He's like, let's end this. So
that will do it. I believe a 5-1 scoreline, correct?
Yep, 5-1. So Peaky Blinders showing up well in their first real match of the season, besides getting that free technical win on Monday. So I'm sure they'll be happy with this win. I think they still have a lot of stuff to kind of shore up if going forward in the rest of the season, if they want to try and challenge some of these top teams. But overall, I think it was pretty good for them.
Yeah, this last battle, Serve getting out more than 3,000 damage and 2 kills. We saw him get the last kill shot. Heyo getting out almost 1,700 in his 430U before going down to that crossfire. And Toxic got out 1,200 plus.
Yeah, and let's moment of truth, see if post-match stats work, and they do for me. I don't think they will for you. I don't know if you actually downloaded the updated fixed version.
Okay, that's what it is. I put in my old version.
Yeah, he updated the version. We didn't have enough time to get it all set up. But Serve averaging 2.1 thousand damage. He actually earned 353 fantasy points. Iheo earns 334. And Toxic rounded out with 256. And on the other side, Thunderstorms earned 192. T-Bear earned 191. And then Iced earned 97. So
actually, you can see Serve, well, from the only thing that I can see, which is the post-battle. Serve got almost 100 fantasy points just from that round.
Yeah, he definitely did well that day. As for Unicorns, I think they did show some promise in a couple of these games. They had some good calls, some good rotations, but I think overall they just need to work on their strategies a little bit more, their initial setups, and figure out some more rotations. But I think they definitely have what it takes to take some games off of any team in this league currently. So
yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's only the second day, so a lot of matches to be played, but we'll have to see. A lot of maps we haven't seen yet. We've only seen, I believe, 3 now. We've seen Cliff twice, we've seen Tundra, and we've seen now Himmelsdorf a couple of times. And Cliff seems to be a good map to, if you kind of have to brawl no matter whether you're on defense.
Yeah, and I think some teams favor it because it's much more of a skill matchup. So a lot of these better teams are wanting to get it because they can, perhaps get 4 rounds on it if they are just a lot better than their opponent. But yeah, we haven't seen. I think we saw Sand River on the 25% versus Saturdays Before the Boys stream. That was the second stream that happened on Monday, and I think they played Sand River and Lakeville, so they played the 2 maps that we haven't actually seen yet. So, but
yeah, well,
not sure if you have anything else.
No, I think that just about does it. Thank you guys for watching. I believe we will be back again Friday night, same time, 9 o'clock Eastern. Do you know which match that is, actually?
I can't check Discord or else it'll break all the... actually, I can check it on my phone. I know for sure that it is a kind of a more hype matchup. It will be Overwolf versus Massive Mistake. So we'll see Massive Mistake again against Overwolf, a team that also had a 5-0 victory over Unicorns on Monday as well. So it should be very exciting. It'll be a fun match to cast for sure. It should be back and forth, and yeah, make sure to tune in there. So I hope everyone enjoyed. You can catch Germ's stream over at germ_na in case you guys don't know him, which I don't know who doesn't. And then
And
you
then
have this
you're at
stream, and then I'm over at The Love Hitman, just exactly outside. I don't stream as often, but you can catch me here and there. Make sure to give the WOT Community League 3v3 a follow as well, as we'll be streaming all of the games on here, or one game a match night on here. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you Friday again at 9 Eastern, so make sure to come check back in. So
all right. Well, thank you, and I guess we'll see you guys later. See you on.
see ya.